JJ the CPA here. Hope you're doing well. Breaking news. Here we are. January 20th, the date of my firstborn's birthday, is celebrated with Form 3508S, the simplified application certification for forgiveness of PPP. It counts for first draw and second draw. The one thing that's interesting about this is that you still do put down the amount of the requested PPP forgiveness. So it is not blanket forgiveness, as many still think it is. It's not automatic forgiveness. And so when you're filling that out, pretty straightforward. I'm going to put a link to the SBA website where that application is in the body of this video. The other thing to note is that if you got 50,000 or less, you do not have to take into account or worry about FTEs or the salary reduction when it comes to determining your PPP forgiveness amount. Now, all that are using the Form 3508S will list the number of employees when they got PPP and the number of employees when they're seeking forgiveness. But at the same time, 50,000 and below, you're still going to give that information. It still just has no bearing as it relates to the amount of forgiveness. Now, you'll note, which I like on the Form 3508S, that it has a lot of great information right there on the form. It is a one-pager as it relates to what you're filling out and signing off on. But then they do a wonderful job, the SBA does, of providing some additional information, clarifications, definitions, breaking things out. And so there's an additional 5 pages there that include just great information to help you achieve full forgiveness. Now, here's the deal, okay? You still, for employers, still pause to file for forgiveness. Why? That employee retention tax credit. Okay, that's why. If you want to get the employee retention tax credit, which every business that's 100 or less employees should qualify for prior year, then you don't want to file for forgiveness until the IRS and or the SBA clarifies how to ensure that the wages during your covered period can be elected out of PPP forgiveness wages to then be allowed to be used for the employee retention tax credit. What does that mean, JJ? You know what? It kind of doesn't matter. What you need to do is not file for forgiveness. Just wait, I don't know, another day, 2, a week, 10 days, okay? Just wait to file for forgiveness. The banks that are asking for the forgiveness, it is not required by the SBA that happen. The SBA made it clear in their guidelines, their internal final rules, that you do not, banks, ask for and or require for PPP forgiveness to be filed for and or to be forgiven in terms of the PPP received in 2020. So if your bank is going to require that, because it does seem that banks are just wanting to ignore it, and you are going to just succumb to that because you feel like you don't have a choice, and I get it, then you need to document and have the bank document their acknowledgement of it that they cannot file that with the SBA. So if the bank wants to just get the process started, get the documents, and have you put in the application or the certification, okay. The banks that we're working with here, the majority of them, been able to successfully ensure them that that's not required. But nonetheless, if it gets filed with the SBA, then you won't be able to take the employee retention tax credit for wages that are during the covered period because they have to be elected out. How do you elect it out? I don't know, but it's going to be easy, I'm sure. Okay. These are all technicalities. Okay. These are all technicalities. As a CPA, I've got to go through technicalities with you. So it's just wait, just one more reason to wait. One more reason to wait. There's not any applications for forgiveness due, okay, right now. Okay. Even if the bank's saying, oh, no, you need to file them. Well, they don't know how to read, because the law is that the PPP forgiveness is 10 months after the covered period. Guess what? It's January. Guess what 10 months after the covered period would be? Right? I don't know, July, right? I'm not saying wait till July. I'm not even saying wait till June. Heck, I'm not even saying wait till May or even April. What I'm saying is let the SBA and the IRS tell us, is there a big deal here? Do we just check a box? Do we just make a memo in the file? Do we have to file something formally to elect wages out of being deemed for forgiveness? And here's the thing to note. The way the law reads is that the wages during the covered period, no matter what, are deemed for PPP forgiveness wages. You have to elect out, according to the law, wages you want to use for the employee retention tax credit. You don't have to do that with the sick leave and the paid family leave tax credits, because the CARES Act indicates you can do it and you just don't include those wages. You would think it'd be that simple for the employee retention tax credit. It just isn't. Why? Because if you remember, in the CARES Act, if you got PPP, you didn't get employee retention tax credit. It was either or. So now we have a new stimulus saying, hey, it's retroactive. You can take PPP and the employee retention tax credit. But there's now a caveat of, well, you have to elect it out. How do you elect it out? As I indicated, not sure yet. It can't be hard. It's going to be something easy. For those of you that already filed for forgiveness, you're going to need to time out, in my opinion, on including any wages during the covered period in your ERTC calculation. Yes, you can get an ERTC, and any wages that you paid before you got the PPP, before your covered period starts, then that qualifies. You got to remember, I'm talking technicalities here. That's all. That's the life I live right here, is technicalities. Technicalities are going to stick, though, as it relates to the IRS and the SBA. We'll get it solved soon. All right. So exciting news. Form 3508S has been converted to be the new simplification form for $150,000 or less. As I indicated, I'm going to put a link in the body of this. Hang tight on the forgiveness. I'll let you know. Okay. I'll let you know. I've been telling people, I did a seminar to a group of CPAs in Tennessee yesterday. And then today we did our kickoff of Group 51. And here's where I'm at on this forgiveness, okay? Here's where I'm at on this forgiveness and filing for it, right? You ever seen the movie Braveheart, right? William Wallace, played by Mel Gibson, got the sword on the horse, blue paint, right? Holding the line. I'm holding the line, but guess what? You can get revved up because you're going to be able to apply for forgiveness and get your ERTC soon enough. Just give it a little bit more time and follow what I had indicated to put yourself on the simplest. And then for those of you that have been following for a long time, I thought you'd get a kick out of this. I'm not going to put it on. I have worn it. Amanda knows, but that's fairly legit. And with that, I will say this. Thanks for tuning in. I'd love it if you'd subscribe. And then don't you ever forget, you've never met a CPA quite like me.